Welcome back to the Sidearm Hanger. This is Mike, and I'm coming at you with part 3 of 4 of my Takara versus third party video. And I want to talk to you about pricing. This is the evolution of price over the years, and we're going to have a discussion. It's going to be a 3-part discussion. I'm going to talk about Takara, third party, and then of course KO, and the KO influence and impact that it's had on the entire market. And we're going to get into all this stuff, but first, if you're new to the channel, please put a like on the video, subscribe, and then put on notifications because you want to see part 4. And then at the end of this, when part 4 comes, that doesn't stop the fact that I still have about 20 different topics I plan to discuss. I condensed quite a few topics into 4 to make this series, but the reality of it is that pricing replaced the topic I was going to talk about because of so many comments. So anyway, let's move into this, starting with Takara. Takara beat up for their current pricing of all the figures coming out, most notably their MP44 and their MP45, the Bumblebee, so Prime and Bumblebee. But let's start at the beginning here. So the MP01 Convoy back in 2003 was almost a $200 figure to start. Now that was if you imported it from Japan. And then you would get the counterpart in the US for like $63. So Takara would put it out in for like almost $200. And then a year later, Hasbro would bring it over to the US at Walmart for $63. So there started to become a trend. And then of course MP02 was Ultra Magnus that didn't come to the US. Then there was the green Starscream that made no sense to me, but maybe I just didn't get that. It was MP03, but that got remolded or recolored for the US release to be like a $55 one at Walmart. Then we have the MP04 with the trailer. We never saw a US release of MP01's trailer. And then moving into MP05 Megatron, that never came over to the US, so that was just a $200 figure, and it stayed a $200 figure. You had to import these things for $200 bucks. Then we get into different colored Seekers like Skywarp and Thundercracker, which were like $175 if you imported them from overseas. And then you could get them at Walmart and the various other places that would have. Walmart had Skywarp for like 50 bucks, and then it got clearance to 30, then clearance to 15, which I basically got one at 30, one at 15, so I had 2. And then there was the Thundercracker that I picked one up for 40. I don't know where that was the exclusive. It wasn't a Walmart exclusive. It was somewhere else. But then we get into 2009 with Grimlock. So Grimlock was the game changer for me in the Masterpiece line because he was, again, like a $200, $175, $200 figure if you imported it. But then it was 75 bucks after tax, so $69.99 or whatever, at Toys R Us. Toys R Us exclusive. And that was a game changer because I bought one, and the next year I said, hey, you know what? I want to get one and open it. Now, I was buying these one a year and not opening them. I opened MP01, but not the rest of them. And then I got to realizing, hey, I want to mess with this figure, but I want to keep one in the box. And they were $300, $350 to buy one on eBay, and there was no other place to get it. And that's when it dawned on me that I need to be buying 2 of these. I need to be buying one for myself and one to sell. And so I started doing that. And then the MP09 came out, Rodimus. Then I took advantage of the buy one, get one half off sale with the Rodimus. But Rodimus was a $200 figure, but it was almost a $350 figure or something if you got the trailer with them. So it was crazy expensive with the trailer. But the US release didn't have the trailer and got it down to the $69.99 price point. And then I got 2 for buy one, get one half off, so I got it like $45 a piece. Then another game changer comes, and it was MP10. So the MP10 is the smaller version of Optimus Prime, and he was a $200 figure overseas, but with a trailer and all that, still a $200 figure with a trailer was a great deal, like $200, $229 or something over there. But then the US release was $100. And I kind of put it down, I moved on, I didn't buy it. But it's interesting how Hasbro was releasing these things way cheaper. And the reason Hasbro did that was because they had produced so many more. Takara would produce an unknown amount, but to fill every store in the US of Toys R Us and every Walmart, they had to produce at least, in the tens of thousands. So that's how I started collecting these things. And then we got into some of the car bots, but I never bought the car bots. And we're going to get into the KO section for that. And then Soundwave comes along, and Soundwave overseas just had one tape, and then they started selling this tape separate. So you're looking at like $160 for a Soundwave. So you're getting close to the 200 mark. But then you have to buy the tapes for like $40 per set of tapes. So you're looking like $160 plus 40 plus 40. So you're looking like $240, $250 to import all this. And Hasbro released at Toys R Us for $120. And it had them all. But then they had a buy one, get one half off sale. So you got them for $90 after tax. So that was impressive. And then, you know, this kind of stuff kept going on with Takara and their pricing. But nowadays, people are all upset because of the $450 Optimus Prime. But if you think about it, it's now like what, 16 years after they released the first Prime, and it's double the price of the original Prime. But the original Prime with the trailer wasn't cheap. It was more than, it was like $300, $350. So this really isn't that much more than the original Prime with the trailer. So the Takara pricing is high, but it's not that high. But see, the thing is, to me, I'm a spoiled who's been buying these US releases for a fraction of the price of the Japanese releases. But now we're looking at MP44, and then we're looking at Bumblebee, and there's a whole lot of stuff to talk about that. But the pricing is still higher. Well, let's talk about third party. Third party figures started out at like $100 for a Chug style figure. So $75 to $100. You got a Chug style RC. You got some iGear coming out with some mini bots that were just too small to be mini bots. They were actually more along the lines of Chug mini bots, and they would actually stand side by side with today's modern days Legends figures that were $10. But you're paying a ridiculous amount, $75 to $100 for these figures, and to get a Chug figure. So fast forward a couple of years into the third party, and then you start getting Fans Toys in the market. Now Fans Toys brought Sever and Soar and the Dinobots, and they were $200 figures. Now you could, like I did, scour the internet and take a risk on an eBay seller and get a Soar for like $184. That's what I got mine for. But the reality of it is, third party prices are coming down. So Takaras are going up and third parties are coming down. And why is that? Well, because Takara owns the market. It's their market. It's their niche. It's their franchise. And third parties are just kind of cannibalizing on that. They're kind of a symbiotic relationship with Takara in a way, because the only reason people even care about the next Takara release is because they picked up 6 or 7 third parties. There's a symbiotic relationship there. But third-party prices are coming down. But why are third-party prices coming down? Why is Soar coming out now? You could get a Soar in some places for about $150 versus the $200 price range. Is it because they're re-releasing it and they don't think enough people really want it? No. It's because of competition. You got this thing called Gigapower. This company, Gigapower, has made great figures. Now, they're a little bit stylized and not 100% G1, but I like them, and the size is big, they're massive, because Dinobots should be massive. And so you're looking at this and you're saying, well, Gigapower's coming out with theirs for $150, $156 or whatever, so we've got to be able to compete with that. So I didn't really touch any of these third-party items in the beginning. I got a Soar, I got the X-Transbots Polyon, because you got to have a scale leader for your Decepticons, and then I got one more third-party figure, the DX9 Gewalt, and that was just kind of like a, let's just do it. Let's see what it's like. And the whole thing was, I didn't really get fully invested into third-party until I bought a guy's like pretty much full collection for a real like $700 in 2 parts. But the whole point of this was that I wasn't in third-party because the prices were so high. Now prices have come down, so some figures that would have cost $200 a few years ago would have been like the Fans Toys Quietus, which is their Cyclonus. That would have been a $200 figure all day long. The Fans Toys version of Six Shot, that would have been a $200 figure all along. I got it for $130. Now, I ordered from these places like TF Direct overseas, and then the way they can get it so much cheaper. The overseas sellers can sell them so much cheaper because they can ship one-time shipping. Now, the U.S. distributors have to pay to have pallets shipped over here. Then they have to pay to ship it to you. Even though it says free shipping on their site for so much, they pay amount to ship it. And so they had to pay to get it. They have to pay to ship it. So they have extra cost involved. But a one-time shipment from China or from Japan, which most of them are from China, is much cheaper than what the two-part U.S. dealers are selling. And so the reality of this is that you are getting a better deal when you order them overseas. But if you order them overseas on eBay, well, 75% of those are not really actual product behind there. It's just fake, and you're not going to get it. So see my eBay video, my how to spot a scammer on eBay video. I've already done that video. I've already talked that to death. But the reality of it is that third parties are coming down in price. Competition is doing it. Competition, the fact that if somebody came out with one of any of these Springer versions, and they came out with that in 2013, they'd be asking $200 and getting $200 and selling completely out. But nowadays, because there's 7 different Springers to choose from, they're fighting and selling them for one. I got my Fans Toy Springer with some deals and stuff, and using a trusted eBay seller and the coupons and all that. I got mine for $110. Same thing, I'm going to get the X-Transbox version of Springer for $110. But this would have been a $200 figure all day long. There would have been no discounts. There would have been no sales. This thing would have sold out instantly, and then you'd have people out there selling it for $300, $400, $500. Which gets into the next point I want to talk about in the third party is when these things sell out. What's the secondary market go to? The secondary market goes through the roof, double, triple, quadruple the price until there's a re-release. Now, back in the day, there was no such thing as a re-release. We didn't know that there was going to be another production run. We saw the one production run, we thought it was done, and everybody was after that figure paying a ridiculous amount of money. That went for MP10 would go through the roof, the Grimlock would go through the roof, and all that stuff. Now that it's been re-released 4, 5, 6, 7 times, we expect everything to get re-released. And so we we make a decision and go, it's too much, maybe we'll wait for the re-release. We don't like the coloring, maybe we wait for the re-release. And the reality of it is not everything's going to get re-released. And sometimes we get burned with that mindset. Now, I've gotten personally burned with that mindset. Not everything will get a re-release, a re-release. So the last topic of discussion I want to talk about is KOs. The reason that KOs are a thing, there's good and bad and all that. And there's been a lot of people that are very polarized on this topic and say, I hate KO, I love KO, I'll wait for the KO, and all of this. And there's a whole lot of discussion with this. But the reality of it is that the KOs don't always help you. But then again, they don't always hurt you. So let me talk about this a little bit more. So when the Carbots came out for $60, I said, you're getting a piece of plastic, 100% piece of plastic, that's only 6 inches tall. And that's going to cost the same exact amount that I paid for my MPO1 Optimus Prime, that's 12 inches tall, full of die-cast, has a multitude of features, and I'm just going to get a standard Carbot for the same price. I felt cheated, and I did not jump on board with that. But then I found out there's a whole underground community of KO stuff, and I started buying some KOs. Really love the Tiger Tracks because that thing just looks amazing. The yellow pops, and it makes your shelf stand out. But nowadays I've got the MP39, so that took Tiger Track's spot. Finally, something was better than Tiger Tracks on my shelf. And so with all of this fun stuff going on with the KOs, I didn't realize I jumped in and said I'm excited about this. I'm finally gonna get into the Carbots, and I started buying them up for $30 to $40. And I said, hey, this is great. But I didn't realize that if you're buying these Carbots for $30 to $40 and all this down the road, they're gonna have very little value. I didn't realize 4, 5, 6, 7 different companies made them. And just because mine looked precisely exactly like the originals and had all the box art like the originals, the ones that came along later, Takara Tony and some of these other ones, there's ways to know that it's not a KO, of course, and it's not a factory second. It really is a KO. I come to find out that really, they're worthless at the end. Like, nobody wants to pay any money for a KO. But they also make the officials worthless because nobody wants to buy the official because they know they can get a KO for $30. No one wants to pay $80, $90, $100 for an official because the KO you can get for $30. In fact, you got people, the MP39 KOs never got cheaper than $60, $56.99 if you order straight from China. And people think that they're only worth $30 or $40. But the reality is they'll never find one for $30 or $40. They're going to pay $30 or $40 and wait 6 months and never get their item. So the reality of this is KOs help and hurt the market. That official Masterpiece stuff's not worth as much because of it. Now, what else is going on with KOs? Well, KOs, Ultra Magnus, they fixed the butt flap. And it came out for like $78 instead of $150. Or it was actually $180. And they've re-released that a few times. They fixed some issues when it comes to MP36 Megatron. They put die-cast metal in MP36 Megatron. And the tracks, the Masterpiece tracks, that thing had some major improvements with the rubber tires. In the end, pricing is an issue. Takara's getting more expensive. Third party's getting cheaper. Third party's getting better. People are talking about how a $120 mini-bot Bumblebee has so many issues, and I agree. I mean, I've got the thing coming in, and there's other ways to get official cheaper, like Amazon Japan, and there's a few other straight from Japan sites that you can get. But anyway, like and subscribe. Let me know what you think. Give me some feedback on your pricing issues. Gamer Hanger out.